Hey y'all, welcome and welcome back to my channel. It's me, Kia Simone, and let's get into this last episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville, which was pretty much a filler episode. Other than what's going on with Kimmi, it was kind of just not a lot going on, but let's just get into it. Before we do, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you have not already. And let me say something real quick. I've had it with the trolls in the comments, okay? I done tried to talk to y'all like y'all got sense. I've said, you know, the floor is open for respectful disagreement. We can agree to disagree. I done tried to talk to y'all like y'all sane. But when you feel the need to come in my comments and disrespect me by calling me out of my name over my opinion over a TV show, you ain't sane. And I'm not going to pretend you sane. And I'm not going to stress my sanity trying to wrap my mind around your insanity. What I'm doing now is I'm throwing a block party, okay? And you will get VIP tickets. I will get you in the VIP at my block party, okay? I'm not doing this with y'all. I'm not making my subscribers go through that. They tired of coming down here having the windmill every time they come to my house. I don't have them kind of neighbors, okay? My neighbors don't act like that. They are very hospitable. They know how to act when we have companies and vice versa, okay? So I'm tired of me trying to come down to my comments and interact, and every other comment is some absolute nut. I'm tired of not being able to get to my subscribers who actually support me, or people who actually know how to respectfully disagree, because y'all down there just with 14 comments of ignorance and name calling. I'm not doing it. It's enough going on in the world. People got plenty of stress going on in this world, okay? When we come down here, this is to get away from all that. I'm sorry. I needed to get that off my chest. Now, of course, I got to shout out my super thankses now that I'm going off about how I feel. Shout out to Monique Johnson, Miss Winnie Mangum, and Tanya Fuller. Thank y'all so much for the super thanks. Thank you to everybody who supports the channel, and to y'all who do go down windmilling, just straight snatching wigs in the comments. I love y'all more than I could ever make y'all understand. Thank y'all. So the episode picks up where they left off last week, which is in the middle of this peace party at Stormy's house, where they're talking about whether Destiny would have felt different if she knew Mel had spoken to her. Of course, Destiny said no, and everybody was, oh my God, what do you mean? She said, you know, the hello was not audible enough for her. She didn't hear it. And she goes to ask Kimmi, well, did you hear her say anything? Kimmi kind of sighed and said, yes, she spoke to both of us. My thing was, in the episode when the whole fight happened, why didn't Kimmi say then? Girl, she spoke to you. Now, maybe Kimmi didn't want a further confrontation with her, but I just kind of wonder, like, why in that moment did Kimmi say, oh, well, I didn't notice, rather than saying, oh, she spoke. Maybe you didn't hear her, but she spoke. Kimmi does go on to say, what I do remember is that Tisha and I were both trying to talk to you, and you were very quiet after Stormy came in, and it was a hard conversation. So Destiny's cousin Demi, the uninvited guest, she started explaining to Destiny that, listen, what I think happened is you felt violated. You, Stormy, and Mel already had y'all issues and y'all's beef. And then for them to come into your space, you felt violated. She said, I kind of saw you. I watched the whole thing happen. You just kind of exploded. Destiny said, inside. No, ma'am. No, not inside. She said, I didn't say anything, so I didn't act on it. Tisha said, listen, you can say you exploded inside, but that explosion happened outside on your face. When Destiny is able to accept that, listen, sis, you were seething and it was hard to communicate with you, Stormy said, well, it sounds like we made a good step forward. So is it safe to say y'all are cool? Mel said, you know, it's crazy how we don't normalize just letting people feel how they feel. Like, if people don't want to have certain relationships, that's okay. We spend a lot of time trying to make people fit and click together when they don't. And it could just be a respect thing. Like, we don't have to be the best of friends. Destiny said, and I agree, touche. And I agree too. I agree completely. Why are we trying to force these fake relationships and friendships and bonds? Like, everybody is not meant to be in your life. Everybody ain't your friend. Everybody is not going to be your A1. And even if they used to be, every friendship and relationship isn't meant to be rekindled. Like, you can forgive somebody and choose to move forward. So Destiny and Mel toast to that. And Stormy wraps the night up by gifting all of the ladies a purse full of products from her line. Now, as the ladies are all leaving, Kimmi and Mel walk out at the same time, and Mel says to Kimmi, well, I'm glad that you walked out when I did, because I saw you tearing up in there, and I was just wondering, what's going on with you? What do you have going on? Because I'm not used to seeing you tear up. And Kimmi says, well, I just have a lot going on, but nothing that I really want to discuss. Mel said, are you sure? What do you have going on? And Kimmi said in the confessional that she really appreciates Mel, she loves her, but she's not ready to talk about what's going on with her, especially because she doesn't have any real answers. So Mel goes on to say, well, you can share anything with me, and it doesn't go any further. Now, I don't know if Mel is concerned or curious, but Kimmi held up her boundary and said she wasn't ready to talk about it, but she would let her know when she is. So we move on to Marcel and Tisha's house, where Marcel is setting up a date night inside the house. The kids are gone. He don't know where, because that's Tisha's job. I said, you know what? I get why Tisha used to say she feels like a single mom, even though she's married, because I would hate to be married to a man and have my children fathered by a man who treats our family like a nuisance and a business investment that he only needs to check on from time to time. Like, I cannot with Marcel. So you don't even know where to go get your kids from if they needed you. Man. So Marcel sets up this whole indoor picnic. He lays out on the floor and calls Tisha in. She comes in all excited to see his big honey baked ham spread all over the floor. Just get up. So Tisha is all excited about, what caused this. Girl, child, it's a scene y'all playing. But here he go about, he just felt like he could do better and she deserved better. So this is him giving her better. So Tisha asked him, well, did the couples retreat help with this? And he said, no, you expressed that there was an issue, and so I'm fixing the issue that you said there was. And Tisha said, well, that makes me feel heard. Girl, the only time Marcel does this kind of stuff is just before he's about to try to finesse her and play her. Tisha said, well, she does think the couples retreat was effective. She thinks that it helped all of the couples individually, and it helped all of the couples get to know each other. She said, especially Louis and Tiffany, because them the two they don't know. Marcel, all of a sudden, is the advocate for Louis and Tiffany, who he's been after since the day they sat down on this show. Here he goes carrying on about how he felt like Dr. Francis went too hard on Louis and Tiffany. He said, well, really, Louis, because everything Louis said was wrong, wrong, wrong. Tisha said, no. He went in on Tiffany too. So Marcel starts stuttering, trying to re-strategize his bullshit, because now she kind of makes sense, because he did say something to Tiffany, but hold on, that don't help my argument. He said, I don't know. Dr. Francis, to me, I think, is incredibly biased. Everybody was wrong except Dr. Francis. He just got all the answers. So Marcel's in the confessional, and he got to make sense of why Tisha makes sense against this argument that he's making. And he said, well, yeah, Dr. Francis did come for the Whitlows as a couple, but I feel like Louis took the brunt of it. I think he has some sort of a bias against men, like all masculinity is toxic. No, fool. First of all, Louis was the only one up there half the time. Tiffany was in the back on the phone with whoever she was calling a work meeting, and Louis was up there taking the brunt of it on her behalf. When Tiffany did come back, she got her ass handed to her and she ran off into the night. Secondly, your real problem with Dr. Francis is that he requires more of your definition of manhood than money. Every time anybody brings up Marcel being a husband and father, he talks about being a provider and paying bills and making sure that their lifestyle is financed. But when somebody tells you where there's more to being a man, a husband, and a father than being a paymaster, then you have a problem with them. And you feel like being a paymaster should buy you a coupon to allow you to be emotionally negligent in your relationship. And Dr. Francis calls you out for that. And he doesn't allow you to get away with being emotionally negligent because you're financially present. That's your problem with Dr. Francis. So Marceau says he just doesn't think Dr. Francis is the right therapist for them. And he asked Tisha, so you really committed to this whole therapy thing, huh? Tisha said, yeah, because I think it works. Yeah, and the reason therapy works is because the therapist is not a yes man. They actually assess you and your practices and paradigms and help you shift them. They don't sit up and tell you that your bullshit is fertilizer. They call it for the bullshit that it is. So Marceau says he's willing to continue to go to therapy, but only if they find a new therapist. And he's in the confessional saying, for as good as Dr. Francis was, he still had to dig to get what he needed out of it because he seemed biased. Marceau, you full of shit. And Tisha goes right along with his bullshit about, well, what's the criteria for the new therapist? He starts stuttering and he comes up with, get one who you can see living the life. And they can advise you based on their experience. Like Dr. Francis. And make sure that they're open and willing to share their good and bad. Because we don't need to learn from no perfect person because we know perfection is fake. Like, I'm not even about to delve into Marceau's bullshit. Like, the reason Marceau and Martell are such good friends, no matter what Martell says and throws out there, is because they are a lot alike. I can't with Marceau. And Tisha's right there going right along with him about, well, if all it takes to keep him in therapy is getting a new therapist, then I'm going to do that. Yeah, we know. And Marceau is in the confessional saying, yeah, and I'll continue to consider possibly going to couples therapy. Yeah, because he gonna keep playing in your face. And you gonna keep having to find new therapists. Because every time they sniff out his bullshit, he gonna be ready to run. Ain't nobody got time for this. But you know what? Tisha already knows that. She knows she's going to be on the hunt for a new therapist every 6 to 12 months. She already knows it. And I'm not about to sit here and get my nerves upset, okay? Tisha wants to play this go along to get along game. And guess what? If she like it, I love it. I don't give a damn. So then they move on to talk about this period party that Tisha wants to throw because they have 2 daughters and the oldest daughter is getting to the age of adolescence. And Tisha wants to help usher her into this next stage of her life without the shame that most girls experience. Now, quite honestly, for me, this was very filler. Like, I'm so sorry. It's real sweet and all that, but we didn't need this. And if they can share this, they can share professional aspects because that's the kind of stuff we actually want to see. Like, now Marceau, being the caveman that he is, of course, is telling Tisha he wants no parts of this. And Tisha is trying to explain to him that he is a girl dad. And so he's going to have parts of this because you never know when you may have to go out and get your daughter's feminine care needs. Because, for example, Destiny was raised by her father who had to go do those things. And that was absolutely unimaginable to Marceau child. Marceau said, well, the difference for me is I got a wife. Tisha said, well, you never know what could happen. Marceau said, God forbid if we got divorced, I'd be remarried within a few weeks. He tried to play it off and say he was joking. No, you're not. And he tried to hurry up and turn it on Tisha and say, well, I mean, if something happened to me, you'd probably get remarried to a baller. Tisha said, if something happened to you, I'd be living my best single life with my insurance check, okay? Marceau said, you better not turn into no 40-year-old thought out here in these streets. Because you know they already got rumors about you. And I will haunt the shit out of you. Child, I'd have told Marceau, well, you gonna need to get your rest in peace to keep up with me. So we move on and we see Kimmi and Maurice headed to Kimmi's biopsy appointment. And of course, Kimmi is very nervous. She wants to be optimistic, but she knows that the possibility of cancer is very real. Maurice asked about being able to go into her appointment with her, and she said she didn't really want to have a lot of people coming in with her. She wanted to treat it like a normal appointment so it didn't have that feeling of something being wrong. Maurice says, well, if your results are regular, I guess that means you can cook tonight. Man, Kimmi said, no, you will be taking care of me for at least the next 24 hours. And you know, when Kimmi said that, the thought that crossed my mind is, it is amazing to me how much this woman has to be going through to get from this man for 24 hours or a few weeks or months or however long, what he expects from her forever. Maurice did say he was kind of joking, okay? He said he understands he will be taking over things for a while. Kimmi said that the situation is going to work out regardless, one way or another. And she said in the confessional that she believes that Jesus takes care of her personally. And she believes that everything happens for a reason. And we may not always understand what that reason is or agree with what that reason is, but there's definitely a reason that God has allowed whatever to happen. And she has Maurice to say a prayer before she goes into her appointment. So we move on and we see Destiny at a photo shoot for her single, and Mel comes in. Well, Destiny is doing this photo shoot in a bright yellow dress with a feathered skirt. And Mel comes in and says, "Ooh, that's pretty. You know, you look real pretty. I love your yellow." Destiny says, "So it's not giving Big Bird?" "Yes, sis. Yes, it is." Mel just hesitated and said, "You look cute. I did yellow with feathers first. Okay. So I was given Big Bird, but Big Bird is cute." So in the confessional, the producer asked Destiny how did she feel about seeing Mel come into her shoot. And she says, "I don't know how to answer that." Now, meanwhile, in the actual scene, they seemed very playful and they were just jumping and frolicking all over each other. But then in the confessional, there's shade. And I guess the shade wasn't just in the confessional, because Mel starts showing Destiny some poses that she could do. She said, you know, you could pose like this, you could turn around like this. And Destiny said, "Oh yeah, since your little booty done grew, now you want to poke your butt out all the time." Mel said, "My booty did not grow, it's the pants." I said, "Not shots at the ass shots." So Mel is kind of directing the shoot, and then they start frolicking and playing around, and the photographer decides to take a break and let them sit down to talk. And they have this whole contrived conversation about everything that's happened between them. They start out by complimenting each other. "Well, you look pretty, and you look pretty." And okay, the niceties are out of the way. Now let's just talk about why we don't like each other. So Destiny said, "You know, I really appreciate you coming by." Mel said, "I appreciate being invited to come by." Destiny said, "Well, yeah, because, you know, I was worried when you left Stormy's house the other night because you know you can't drive. So I just wanted to check on you." Mel said, "Yeah, that's true." Destiny said, "But I'm glad you made it home safe and were able to come support this." And Mel starts talking about, "Well, you know, I told you I made this video to support your song." And there comes this whole conversation about how Mel had recorded a video to her dancing in her car to Destiny's song. Destiny said, "Yeah, you made the video, but you didn't post it." She said, "Well, I didn't post it because of everything that happened at Madani." Well, that confused me, because I'm like, the song been out since last season sometime, so I don't understand. So Mel explains that I did record the video long before the Madani situation happened. But when I came to Madani and I spoke and you didn't speak back, Destiny said, "I didn't hear you." Mel said, "And that's fine. But when you came running out the door yelling at me for not speaking, I didn't feel like you were in a place for a conversation, especially because I had already spoken and you didn't speak back. So I decided to move along, but had you spoken back, the conversation probably would have eventually moved along to me saying, you know, I'm really proud of you and I'm happy for you." Child, what does this have to do with why a video was recorded weeks or months in advance and then was just held on to until this whole ambush situation? I don't understand. Were you going to see how she responds to you showing up to the event, and then if she responds favorably, like if she kissed my behind, then I'm gonna go ahead and post this video and promote her single, but if she get upset, then I'm not? Like, it didn't make sense to me, especially saying I had recorded this a long time ago and I was just holding on to it. I don't understand that. The bigger lesson here is that even the people who may talk down on you and not support you publicly, they are watching everything you do privately. Destiny asked Mel, well, what was your thought process when you assumed that I was just not speaking back? She said, I just assumed you didn't want to be bothered and I wasn't going to bother you. Destiny is in the confessional saying that it was an insufficient greeting, period, especially being that the last time that they saw each other, they were moving furniture. And she feels like Mel should give the same respect that she expects. For example, she put Tisha out of her event because she expects that Tisha should have known to stay away because they weren't getting along, but then she shows up at her event uninvited and it's supposed to be acceptable. Destiny said, well, why do you feel like we're in this space? Mel said, for a number of reasons that we've already discussed before. And I'm not in a place where I really care about what happened last year. Amen. I don't care either. Can we please let this go and y'all leave us alone? Like there has to be something else going on in Huntsville or wherever y'all like to catch flights to. Mel said, listen, I made peace with it. Destiny said, well, how do you make peace with trying to assassinate your friend's character? Mel said, but that's what you did when you called me a liar and a manipulator, and Destiny denied everything. I didn't say that. I called you a liar. I never called you a liar and a manipulator. I know I never said that. Yes, you did. Destiny said, you specifically called me a liar, did you not? Mel said, I probably did if I felt like you were lying. So now here you have Mel owning her part, but yeah, I said what I said. And Destiny is just knee deep in denial about she didn't say this and she didn't say that. Yes, you did. My thing is, yeah, y'all were in battle. You were talking cash. You were saying how you felt. So why lie now? Why is I never said none of that. Stand up in your shit. I don't get it. So then we got to hear the rehashing of the whole how this fallout happened about they were at the reunion and all she said was, I texted Mel and I didn't get a response. Say I hadn't been talking to you. Child, Destiny is bringing up how the lady didn't want to work with her no more because Mel was beefing with her, but Destiny didn't know nothing about the beef. And Mel said, well, did you call me a master manipulator? And Destiny is now not denying it, but explaining why she said it. But, well, I said it, but when I called you a manipulator, it had everything to do with that. Child. Mel said, okay, you called me a manipulator over that situation, but you never had a conversation with me about that situation. Destiny said, but how? How was I going to have a conversation with you when I text you and you didn't respond to me? And then I had to find out from other people that you had an issue with me. Mel says, well, yeah, you sent the text, but we didn't have the conversation. Destiny said, did you respond? She said, no, girl. This is too much dumb at one time. I cannot deal, okay? You got Destiny denying everything. I ain't never said none of that. And then you got Mel making Destiny responsible for them not having a conversation that Mel refused to participate in. They deserve each other, okay? So Destiny is carrying on about, I knew we had a problem when the lady said she wanted to cancel our project. She didn't want to work together anymore. Mel said, look, I didn't come here for that, okay? I did not come here to rehash everything that happened between us last year. I really don't give a damn. She said, I don't want to do all that with you. I'm not trying to rehash everything. We don't even have to be friends. I'm just trying to move forward. Mel said, I just don't want no drama. I'm not participating in any drama, and I think we're moving in the right direction. Destiny busts out, you love me, don't you? Girl, what? And they show a whole reel of the memories between Mel and Destiny. And Mel said, yeah, of course I love you. Because Jesus said so, child. She said, I may not love everything about you, but of course I love you. And I do miss the friendship that we had. But I'm in a place where I am good being to myself. Thank you very much. Stay over there. And Destiny starts talking about how she thinks they'll be etched in each other's hearts forever because they went through divorce together, and she tears up talking about it. And Mel is just nodding her head like, girl, please let it go. She said in the confessional that she realizes that they are just memories and she is moving on and letting it go. But the confessionals don't always match the scenes. I'd be real confused about exactly how she feels and what's going on. Because in this scene, she's, "You love me, don't you?" and tearing up, but then saying, "I don't even care about being friends." Child, which one? Pick a struggle. So we move on and we see Tisha having the period party for her daughter and a whole group of girls. It's actually being hosted by a creator who hosts this event annually. And she has a panel of experts and advisors. They talk to the girls and do affirmations. They learn the science of their bodies and their menstrual cycles. And we see them going through this whole event and a Q&A when Maurice comes in to get Tisha. And he brings her outside where Kimmi is waiting to talk to her. So the episode comes to an end with Tisha going outside where Kimmi is waiting. And Kimmi tells her that she will not be able to participate in today's events because she has some bad news. And her bad news is that she discovered these lumps and they were biopsied, and the biopsy results came back that she does have cancer. She's in the confessional saying that she has triple negative breast cancer, which she says is the most aggressive form. She was fortunate enough to catch it in its early stages. She said she caught it in stage 2, which is still pretty early, and she has a really good prognosis. She is, of course, struggling to share this news with Tisha, and Tisha is struggling to receive it. And Tisha's in the confessional saying how she lost an aunt to breast cancer, so this really, really hits home for her. So unfortunately, yes, Kimmi does have breast cancer, and she is, as I understand it, currently undergoing treatment. I just pray for Kimmi. I pray for Kimmi's complete healing. I pray for her fearlessness as she goes through this process. I pray that this is just a test that will be a testimony for her. I pray that she comes out better on the other side than she went in. My heart goes out to Kimmi. So it looks like next week we're going to see Destiny and Mel still talking about whether they can be amicable. Like, child, if y'all don't get over it. And it looks like we're going to see Kimmi starting her treatments. And she's going to be talking to Maurice about looking for the silver lining, because there has to be a reason for her going through this. And we're going to see Mel breaking the news to her mama that we have some more guests that you didn't know about coming on the trip. More than just Martell is coming. I met with his mama and invited her. So we're going to see how that goes over. But that's it. That's all. And I ain't got no more. Thank you so much for coming down here listening to me and letting me get this off my chest. As always, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And in the meantime, until next time, just like every time, I love you and I mean it. Bye.